Have you seen other people gain as much weight as I gained so quickly?
Yeah, everybody's going to respond to it differently. How lean you get, how down-regulated your metabolism is, how in a flux your hormones are, all kind of act as variables that dictate how much you gain going forward. And so much of it's also psychological. Like if you've never done a strict fat loss phase before, you go through it and you lack that perspective, it becomes the hardest thing you've ever done. And the hardest thing you've done is the hardest thing you've done. So you feel deprived, depleted, and in a deficit. And coming out of that, some people just from a psychological standpoint have a hard time keeping that food increase in check, and they go off the deep end and eat everything in sight, maybe even clean foods, but at a unreasonable surplus. It takes some time for their hormones to stabilize, for their leptin and ghrelin hormones to actually give them accurate hunger signaling cues. And if you've never done that before, you're kind of shooting in the dark. Whereas the more times you go through a strategic cutting and building phase, that more perspective you gain. And then you can recognize that, okay, I'm being reasonable right now, or I'm just eating out of desire. And I feel like the more perspective you have, the more time you cycle through that, the better you can kind of keep things in check going forward.